Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How is everybody doing? I hope good. Let's see who is in. Jackie, of course. I saw Shari earlier. Vivian Massier. A little bit quieter today. Kai Lucas Zachary is in. Bill White is in. Lord Frybread, Prelim Minimal. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so, yes, you're right. I actually, I'm going to start with the horse ones because that just bugged me. Okay, horse. I think I've had this on before, the horse fangs. I don't know why I had a thing where I got it in my head that I saw the hippopotamus had like fangs and some other things had some fangs. I was like, is our horses going to get fangs? So I looked it up a while ago and I'm pretty sure I had it on that they got this thing called wolf teeth. And so I'm like, wolf teeth. So wolf teeth this is the fangs. Okay, that's the new one. Wolf teeth was back here and it was real tiny. And I remember thinking, well, that's not in a good spot to have like giant fangs sticking out because it'd be like in the middle of your mouth and they have like kind of floppy teeth or jowls already. And I'm like, well, maybe if it got bigger, they'd have some. But then, okay, so then I looked again this week and now they do have fangs. They actually have regular canine fangs, which they did not have last time because I kept obsessing on this wolf tooth. How can this wolf tooth turn into a fang? I'm sure Mandela could do it. And somehow I thought that was going to somehow become the fangs. But now we have a whole nother set of apparently useless fang things because, these are supposed to be herbivores, right? So, of course, we did catch them now eating like mice and rabbits and stuff. So, okay, so they got fangs, I guess. I'm just going on and on about the same old yammer. But so there's fangs now. So they have these front teeth that they've always had. And then they have the molars. And then they grew like the wolf teeth back here. But now they have two sets of fangs. And they're up here towards the front. So it is now possible for them to actually grow out those fangs like that. Those weird deer have fangs. I don't know why I'm thinking horses are going to get fangs. Like, you can see them, okay? So they have fangs now, but you can't really see them from the outside of the horse. But I'll tell you one thing. I discovered this like a couple days ago, and then I'm looking today to get more images of it lined up for the show, and I swear the fangs are already bigger because there was only like one image of a big fang. Okay, I believe these are the wolf teeth actually, and last time I couldn't find any images of a big wolf tooth, but these are, and there was another one where it was even longer. It got super long. So the story now is that they grind these down because otherwise they'll poke the tongue of the horse. And I'm like, how is that happening in nature? Because nobody's grinding down the tooth in nature. Are they eating rocks or something? The whole thing is just weird. So, yeah, see, they're here, the fangs. Looks really big in that one. I think we're going to see more of these fangs. So I think that's it right there. So it's going to have to really come out and around to get around this floppy mouth. So I'm like waiting to see how that's going to work. But hey, the deer managed to do it. I think the horse could manage to do it. And it's not any weirder than all the other stuff we've seen. That's an interesting thing. I think those are just misplaced front ones, but so yeah, they have fangs and they're rapidly getting larger. See, there it is. There's the fang. I'm pretty sure that's one. This is definitely one of the fangs. I would only know this for sure if I hadn't just been checking the wolf teeth looking for fangs and thinking about it. So that is one of the reasons. Because, you know, when you normally look at a horse, you don't really, you'd have to really get into the mouth to see back in there. So I think it could have, you know, I would have said, oh, maybe it snuck in there. I mean, maybe I just didn't really notice or something. But no, I've been specifically looking for this. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the other thing. I've kind of covered this before, but it's the horse chestnuts and ergots. Ergots, I don't even know how to say it. So I've mentioned before that there was a time when I suddenly started hearing about like these horses would have these scabs, and it used to be sort of on the elbow, and it was like kind of how like dogs get these, like if they're old heavy dogs and they lay down a lot and they get like these fat calluses on their elbows. And so when those chestnuts first came up, that's where they were on the elbows. And so I kind of just thought, okay, this is kind of like those dog ones. But then at some point they like went to the inside of the horse's legs, okay? And then it wasn't really on a pokey spot. And then, like, I was like, what? And so I was already like, I think this is a Mandela, because I'm really sure that they used to be on the outside and smaller. And then I had thought back, I'm like, you know, I hadn't even heard of these for that long. So then when the ergots showed up, I'm like, oh, hell no, there is no ergot. So now they have these chestnuts here, and then they have these ergots, which are like little claws, except for they say they're not claws, they're like keratinous growths, you know, like, which is kind of like claws, but they're not really attached to a bone structure inside. But then they do say, oh, they're like, maybe they're vestigial toes, left over from ancient times. And now I'm starting to see people actually refer to them as dew claws, which dogs have. And I think they're basically coming in. There's going to be a claw back here. And it basically is a claw. Let me just do the ergots. This is the ergot here. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Oh, this one. This one is a big fat ergot. So the ergots are like, if the horse got a hoof, it's like right back here, kind of exactly where you'd expect a dew claw to be. One of the reasons I'm putting this up is because I swear these are like way bigger than I remember there being before. There's a lot of images of pretty large looking claws, basically. And like the chestnuts, they're getting big. So now there's like images of like these huge, like big peely areas of these chestnuts. And let's see when we find the... You'd think. The other thing that gets me about these ergots is, you know, when I was working at the horse rescue, I had to pick up the horse feet, and you like kind of clutch it. And there's a couple things, okay? Like if they're well trained, then they'll just pick up their feet all nice for you. And then you kind of clean out the bottom fissures of the foot, because they can get like rocks all in there. So you're supposed to like regularly just kind of scrape out those bottom areas so that there's not rocks all jammed in there. And then if you're going to be like trotting them around, they won't be like clopping on rocks, right? So the rocks can jam up in there and cause problems, and you're just supposed to keep it cleaned out. So some of the horses are good boys and they're girls, and they would pick up their little feet for you, and then it was no problem. But some of them were little bratty brats, and so then I would have to train them to pick it up. And I have a technique that I know that's very safe for me, and it's just easy. And you just put like you just kind of rope a little rope around this spot right here, and not real tight, but I actually just kind of loop it around, and then I just kind of twist it a little, not tight, but just twist it enough so it doesn't flop off. And then you just kind of pull on it. Now you can't ever win a tug of war with a horse, so you pull up on it, just enough to be like irritating. And then they're like, and if this is a bratty horse, which it is, because that's why you're doing it, and then they'll look at you like, I ain't lifting it, and screw you, and they'll have, you know, or maybe they'll ignore you or whatever, but you just stand there and you just keep doing it until finally the horse is like sick of your crap, and it'll shift up a little, and then you release the pressure immediately. So after a while, the horse kind of gets in their mind that you're going to pester them with this stupid rope until they lift their foot, and they get in the habit of lifting it. And you got to get good timing, because the minute they kind of like, okay, I'll lift it a bit, then you release, right? Pretty soon, it really doesn't take long where they're like, fine, you know. So the thing that I'm trying to get to here is that if there was these ergots on these horses, then I would have to be really careful not to like push on them or snag them or something, because it would be like super owie. I mean, like, and this was never a problem because there was no freaking thing down there. So that's the other thing that's getting me. What if you put the rope right on that claw, which is sticking down right here, right where I'd be putting the rope? What if the rope was snagged or pulling on that claw? It would be horrible. I would imagine it would. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to do that. So sometimes they're here, but sometimes they're a little lower, and the rope goes right here, and then I'm pulling up on the rope, so it would be putting pressure up, you know, somewhere around the top part of here. So that's right where the ergot is. Then, like, if I release the rope, like normally I just kind of go, okay, we're done. But I mean, if this is right here, I'd have to be like super careful. That's the thing. So like right in here is where all those are, the claws, the ergots, whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce it, because it didn't exist before. Yeah, see, it's right there. In fact, the rope could like be hooked under it and pull on it. Look at, now that one totally looks like a claw too. Like, it's not a claw. It looks like a claw. Now the ones that look more like a claw, I can't make it big enough to see. Okay, this one is pretty good. See, it's right there. That's right where the rope would be. So, I mean, that would, one would imagine, would really suck if you were like cranking on that thing. It would be very unpleasant. And yet I never had any problems with it. So I'm very suspicious. The other thing is, when you look up chestnuts, currently, what's a chestnut? Then a whole lot of listings say chestnuts and ergots, because they're like kind of the same thing. It's just a little bit different places on the body. So when I was looking up all that yammer about the chestnuts, I should have heard about the ergots that first time, because it's everywhere. If you just type in, see, I type in ergot and I get a lot of chestnuts. If I type in chestnuts, I'll get a lot of ergots. So anyway, those things. So I don't know, are they going to grow like a claw-like thing? And then I don't know what what are these chestnut things going to grow into? Because I don't believe that they're going to just stay like a bump. I think they're going to become a thing. I don't know what they're going to become, but these are the chestnuts here. So it used to be you had to trim it, but now like there's all these images of people peeling it, like it's really long, and then they just peel it off. There's the chestnuts again. There's the ergots. So I don't know what. And it's like a chest nut. I mean, like, is it going to get on the chest or something? Is it going to have something to do with the chest? I mean, you could say, well, maybe it's named after the nut, the chestnut nut. But then I'm like, horses have been around as long as chestnut nuts, right? So what is this thing turning into? That's what I want now. I'm like really curious. We're going to have to keep an eye out how to trim a chestnut and ergot. See, like, so I guess that's the hoof, so it has to be an ergot. That thing is huge. Quiet. Man, there's a, look at it, it's huge. They're really like chomping this thing. You can hear this big old snippy noise. So the farrier, I guess, is in charge of doing this stuff now. That didn't used to exist before. Let me just turn that off. Yeah, it's way more robust than it was before. Now, this does not hurt the horse because it's just like callus material. It's not a live material on them. But, like, look at how much stuff is on the back of their heel now. So keep in mind that I would have been, wait, would you stop? I don't want to go there. Okay, wait. I'm trying to show that hoof again. Where did it go? There. Okay, so right here was where I put the rope. Because it kind of has to snag in there, otherwise it just flop off, right? So you can just see that there's no way I'm not going to see those ergots and have to deal with them if I was doing that. And so I guess I don't even like, I guess I'll just have to be more careful and pull from the side and just check the location of the ergot now. I mean, the rescue's closed, so who knows when I'd be doing that again, but... So now they're like, well, there's a few horses that only have the chestnuts in the front. And, but I mean, it used to be I'd hear, oh, not all horses have chestnuts. Now it's like, oh, not all horses have chestnuts on all the legs. And it's by species. Did I see the blue? You know what? I just, where I did not see any blue rain, first of all. Central Valley. Okay, I'm pretty far from there. I think that's like maybe by Sacramento or something. I kind of heard a little bit about this, but then I didn't really see any video that like, I mean, like you could just put a drop of blue dye in there and say it's blue rain. This really doesn't look like it's any bluer than normal. Somebody I know actually asked me about the blue rain, and I couldn't find any videos that really corroborated it. Like, there was no news, there was no really clear imagery that made me think it was legit. Now, maybe we will get that eventually, you know, because that red rain from Kerala thing, when it was first in the timeline, there wasn't a lot of evidence for it. But now there's like all kinds of historical red rains, and it rained frogs, and it rained snakes, and it rained. So it's probably sneaking into the timeline. But right now, I don't know what to say on it. Yeah, the wolf teeth. I don't know. Yeah, the wolf teeth are... So they have 6 pointy teeth now. They have 2 sets of canine teeth plus the wolf teeth. My friend Martha from California wants to move here and save me. I don't know, like... I don't think anybody could save anyone. That's number one. I don't think we have that power. I think we can help people, but I don't think we have the power to just by ourselves save people. Maybe if they're already on that road, we can give them some leg ups, but... Okay, you heard of wolf teeth ages ago, but what about the sets of fangs, the canine teeth? I remember learning that wolf teeth are often either ground down. I have not heard much about them removing it, but they do, like, when I first heard of them, they said they grind them down. Just like when they float the teeth, I don't know exactly why they call it float. Maybe it's because the way they kind of, but they basically, part of horse maintenance is they check the teeth, and if anything's getting uneven, they'll just kind of even it out, and that lets them grind more easily when they're chomping their hay and stuff. So then when the wolf tooth came in, we just grind that down too. But like, I'm confused because in the wild, there's not going to be anybody there with a special grinder grinding that. Oh, they're eating meat already. I don't know if you saw those. I'm sure you were here for those videos where they chomped like mice and stuff. So, and then I also covered that now there's some like was it Icelandic? There was some very cold weather ones where they fed them fish and stuff. And then there was they say that they fed them meat in the Arabic, the Arabian horses, because there's not a lot of like grass and stuff. So they're definitely getting a little bit omnivorous. Fun fact, in Spain, doctors do nail clipping. There is no grooming place for cats. Like, human doctors clip cat nails? No, come on now. Oh, okay, it's vets, right? It's vets that clip the cat nails. That would make kind of sense. It has to be vets. Because that would be pretty weird if it wasn't vets. Boomer's fault. Boomer's fault that there's no jobs for anxiety and depression. Like, you don't think boomers inherited something from 150 years ago? I mean, come on, dudes. I mean, what jobs are there first? People with anxiety and depression. Like, what job could you do that is useful to civilization? Because I don't really know what job that would be. Maybe that's why it's not invented, because nobody knows what that job would be. So, like the chestnuts, they trim them so they don't get snagged and rip off, I guess. Oh. That's what they say. I don't know. I guess wild horses, they just get snagged and rip off. I know. I'm like a little confused by it too myself. But there was an image of this chestnut that grew like this long, and I didn't used to see those when I first looked into it, but now there was one, it was like that long, and they're like, oh, this one didn't have its chestnut trimmed, and so it got that long, and I'm like, what? I mean, obviously I can't afford horses either, but I can work with them for free at rescues. I don't think I'd get a horse unless I was stinking rich, though, because, man, they are expensive. It's like one thing I learned about working at the rescue is that there's always something, like, there's always some, we had like 10 to 13 or so at a time at the rescue, but it seemed like there's always one of them's got some problems, or more than one, and even the ones that were fairly healthy, now this one fell and needs stitches, and this one's got some stomach problem, and then they're always getting foot problems, and I mean, like, they ain't cheap. Did you know squirrels eat birds? I have seen that lately. I have seen that, but I did not see that before that. Okay, so anyways, that horse fangs. I don't know why I even thought of that, but I'm like, I've been watching for the fangs. So that's why I know. They did not have the fangs. I was even skeptical about the wolf teeth. Then there's the fangs. Okay. All right, let's go back to what I was already. So Jackie found this one, and I'm just laughing. So it's Peacock flounder. First of all, we did have flounders, okay? And flounders are weird because, like, the story then, I probably should check to make sure it's still true, but the story then was that they were born like normal fish, but they have a habit of laying down on the ground to, like, hide on the bottom. And as they age to about age 3, the eye on the side that was laid on, as they developed, would sort of migrate around to the other side, and so that they'd have 2 eyes on the same side. And that would sort of happen as they grew. Then that would, and by like age 3, they would say that they have their eyes kind of sorted out. First of all, they were boring blah colored fish, and the only cool thing about them was they had 2 eyes on the same side of their head, or whatever, their body, when they were 3. But they did not have peacock colors. I mean, this is freaking ridiculous. Okay, that's number 1. Now, Jackie said she didn't remember a fin sticking up. Well, I don't remember that either. I don't remember, like, there being a black, cool-looking fin. I just remember them being, like, the same boring, blah-colored, grayish, tan type of thing. But the thing now is that these little suckers, or big suckers, as the case may be, are now able to do, like, that color-shifting thing, like the octopuses can. So they're fish, but they're like octopi that they can just change colors. So this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy could all be the same guy. They did a really good job on that one. So I guess this one's doing a partial shift or something. Okay, I think that covers all of those. And then they're like, oh, if they get 1 eye damaged, then that could damage their color shifting skill, because I guess they need to see what's around them in order to shift to it. And now they have this thing called left eye flounders and right eye flounders. And we only had 1 flounder. Okay, there was just flounders, but I guess there's a whole bunch of them now. And there's left eyes and right eyes and blah, blah. And some of them have really weird eyes. That's the other thing. And I think even these guys do. But basically, my old guys had basically normal eyes, except for that there was 2 on the same side. This one's kind of bizarre here, too, because, I mean, is that even a real image? Because how I remember it, this is interesting. Maybe that's not an accurate depiction. Oh, they really are pretty far apart. See, there's 1 eye there and 1 eye there. So I remember it like, there's 1 eye here, and then 1 eye was like just peeking around the corner, right? They weren't like all spread out on that side. And when I looked at this a few weeks ago, that's how they were. I didn't see any with an eye here and an eye over here. So now I'm going to look and see if there are any the way they were a couple days ago. Oh, this is pretty bizarre. Okay. I think this has changed in the last couple days. Yeah, because no, this is not right. This is not how it was last. I even had this all straightened out to talk about where the eye positioning was and stuff. Okay, so it did change, looks like. Because I saw none that. Now, one thing I was going to say is, hey, look at how sticky uppy these eyes are. I don't remember them having, and they described that they're, they had a fancy word for it, but they basically talk about that in the descriptions now. For me, no, they did not stick out. Okay. Yeah, no, this has changed since a couple days ago. This is no way, because I looked up peacock flounder. So when I looked it up, one eye was here. This is too tiny. One eye was here, and one was like right there. It wasn't way up there. This is totally wrong. I wonder if they're born with these goofy eyes now. Yeah, look. Why are all of these so there? That really shows it. Oh, they have creepy, weird eyes, too. Just trying to find out. No, this is not right. Okay. Yeah, no, this wasn't even this way. I even remember when I was looking them up recently, like, I'm like, oh, they're all clustered together, and the other eye was here. It wasn't way over there. This is so wrong. This is way over by the fin. Because before you could kind of see the one from that side had somehow migrated to here. But now how did it get the way the fuck over there? Pardon my French. I shouldn't be saying that. Yeah. No, they have really creepy, like, weird, goofy, warped-shaped eye. They used to just have normal fish eyes. The only special thing was that they were on the same side. I think I'm going to have to go over here to Google and see what their storyline is on when the double eye shows up. The flowery flounder, because it's covered in superficially flower-like bluish spots. Left eye flounders have both eyes on top of the left hand of their heads. The eyes are raised up on short stumps like radar dishes. Yeah, that, I do remember reading that. And can move in any direction independent of each other. I do not remember that, but I might not have known it. The baby flounders have one eye on each side of their bodies like ordinary fish and swim like other fishes do. Okay, that's still true. But later on, as they undergo maturation in adulthood, the right eye moves to the left side. Flounders start to swim sideways, which gives them the ability to settle down flat on the bottom. The maximum length of this flounder is about 18 inches. Okay, so that part is still true. They didn't say specifically 3 years, but at least the main part of it is true. Okay, so that's what's changed. The eye positioning, the fact that they can change colors, and then the color in general. And probably this goofy fin. I don't remember there being a goofy fin, but on some of these you don't really notice it, so. If it had been just like a blog gray color, just like the blog gray fish, maybe I wouldn't have noticed it. Yep. What? Vivian found it? I'm sorry. I supremely apologize, and I will rewrite your name. That's weird, though. Oh, well. Maybe I was just stupid. I can't ever tell anymore if I'm just stupid or if it was a different timeline thing. I don't know. Yeah, it could be that Jackie finds a lot of them and I was just stupid, but I do apologize to Vivian. I do not want to falsely attribute, obviously. I remember giraffes eating birds, but horses, yes, for sure there was horses. Like everything eats them now. There was several where there was like some little rodent came and then the horse just chomped it down. Rodents especially, but I think just about everything. No, I didn't say I want you to die. I just have no idea what job, that there's a special job that somebody who is depressed with anxiety could do. What job could you do? I mean, like, you know what you can do. What job is there that's useful that you could do? Because, I mean, you can't blame boomers for not inventing one if you don't even know which one is. Well, I'll tell you how it used to be. It used to be this, that if you had a depression, anxiety, tough shit, you still had to get a job. And since there was no safety net, people just did because they had no choice. And I mean, like, I don't know what to say on that, because some of that makes you just get over your shit. But at the same time, I think people are just way more effed up now. And I think it has to do with crap food, or maybe it's the energies and the evolution. So it may not be as possible to do that now. I do think that there is benefit in being forced to work through things, because even with myself, it feels horrible at the time. But after I come out the other end, I realize that I've gotten better. I've just dealt with the demons, and I'm stronger. So there's things to be said about both. Horses are walking money pits. Yeah, they are. They are. I think that of all things most convinced me that I wouldn't get one. Not unless I'm stinking rich and you can just throw 10,000 away at any time because they need another surgery or something. And they live a long time too. So they're going to continue to be walking money pits because they can live 30, maybe even 40 years, And then all the stuff that, all the saddle and everything, that costs a lot. So I did have flounders in my timeline, but so I don't know, maybe you guys didn't. That was like a thing when I was a kid, that they were extra weird that way. Yeah, they were flush with the surface of the head. I agree with that on the flounders. That whole dream, like, where stuff's flooded and there's, like, some kind of unwanted, scary animals everywhere is pretty common. I get them with snakes sometimes, and sometimes it's rodents. Those are the main two. It's either snakes or rodent, both bitey, of course. And so you're like, oh, there's snakes everywhere, and you're trying to, like, go anywhere, but there's, like, you can't walk. There's bitey snakes everywhere, or bitey rodents. When I'm in the house in my dream, then it's more likely to be rodents. If I'm outside, it's more likely to be snakes. And I don't like those dreams. Okay, we're done with you, and you, and you. Okay, so hopefully this one actually was by Jackie. There's a lot going on with this one. A novel cable bacteria species with a distinct morphology and genomic potential. So apparently these suckers, what the hell's a cable bacteria? So the name already is kind of weird, but I guess now there's a bunch of these different kinds of cable bacteria. One would imagine maybe they're cable-like, but just out of coincidence, a cable bacteria was found to actually transfer electrons along its cable-like self. So we just happened to call them cable bacteria, I guess, and now they just happen to be very cable-y. And here's the part. Cable bacteria form a group of multicellular prokaryotes. I'm like, wait, since when are prokaryotes multicellular? So prokaryotes are those bacteria that don't have the cell walls and separate organelles. Like, they don't have a nucleus. They don't have little separate organelles floating inside their outer, like they're floating inside their edges, okay? So they were like very primitive, and they hadn't created like internal organs yet. So all of the stuff just floated around in a big soup, and that was prokaryotes. And then when they started to get the nucleus and little organelles inside. That was eukaryotes. Well, prokaryotes weren't multicellular, but apparently now they make some few species make these multicellular units, and these are one of them. And then they're cable bacteria. So I don't know. They form into cables. Okay. That enable electron transfer over centimeter scale distances. So, centimeter scales are not huge. That's not a big long way, but I mean, these things are are they like microscopic? Nearly microscopic. So that's actually pretty impressive that they could make a centimeter long electron transfer. If they can make multicellular networks, it would be even crazier. And it doesn't really say they can't. I mean, obviously they aren't saying that they can. I'm just going to say that I have a feeling we're going to get more weird out of this as time goes on. And to this end, the periplasm, do not ask me what that is, of these filamentous bacteria contain specialized conductive fibers which extend along the full length of each filament and incorporate novel nickel-containing I don't know what BD cofactor is. So they've got nickel in them. Currently, the cable bacteria include 2 recognized genera, Candidus electrothrix and Candidus electronema. But the genetic and morphological diversity within the clade remains unexplored. So we're going to find more. The novel cable bacteria. Species from the intertidal estuarian mudflat within Yakima Bay, Oregon. I'm going to bet that this is probably one of those waterways that didn't even exist 5 years ago. A clonal enrichment culture of a single strain was generated. Let's see. Such a long-distance electron conduction and presence of the nickel bisdithiolene cofactor at the time, YB6 exhibits distinct morphological features, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but then, so why are they even doing this, okay? Are they, communicating? Keep in mind, these are, supposed to be primitive bacteria before they even had a nucleus, and still don't, so it's extra weird. What is the point of conducting this electricity? Actually, I assume they're making it and then conducting it. Enable electron transfer over centimeter distances. Enable electron transfer. They have conductive fibers. So I'm assuming they send the signal along there. So what's the point of that? Now they're talking about the specifics of how it functions inside the animal, how they collected them. They're not saying why they would be able to do this. Man, this is long. Okay. All right, so I think that's them. These are the cable bacteria, so they do look like cables. Now, this is interesting. Is this one and then another one? Is that why they're multicellular, that they just attach end to end? Okay, here we go. So they do. They attach end to end. Okay. Just like a cable. Wow, they even have lines like a cable. Man, this is I'm only half done. I think I might have to give up on the science for today. We have snails made of iron. So they have nickel in them. I don't know if they're made of nickel, but the snail shells had a bunch of iron, and I think lately they've been saying there was another stuff to the shells also on those volcano snails, I believe they're called. Can I go over any movie Mandela effects? Have you heard of the hat on Indiana Jones? That has been on, actually. It's like all tall now. Jones. So I will sometimes go over them if I actually knew the movie, but unfortunately that's usually like 80s and 90s movies because I just am not that much into movies since then. See, like that's the hat now. It's all tall and I'm like, I'm calling bullcrap. It was more of like the lower one with the more cowboyish looking. It wasn't that. It wasn't tall. I'm absolutely positive it wasn't tall like that. It just looks too tall. It's too tall. Now this is not the original one, but he has the same hat in all of them. And that weird pinchy thing in the front, that's like so wrong. Look at that. I swear that weird pinch thing. What is up even with that? Like, what hat even has that? I think the pinchy thing has gotten even worse since last time I looked at this. It's even stupider looking. Why would they cut his hat off? So I think this, originally his hat would have been in frame and it would have made more sense. The whole art looks stupid with his head cut off. Look at it, it's all pinched. It's so wrong. It's worse. It's worse. It was not pinched in like that even last time I looked at it. Not to that extent. Okay, so it has morphed a little since last time. Yes, it was not. Stop with the pinching. When people say they don't. So I don't know if this was always the case, but not long ago I read this thing where they were talking about the first types of anesthesia, and I'm not really exactly recall what it was, but basically the anesthesia that they had, people would wake up from a surgery and like not remember anything, and so they were happy, but apparently what was happening was that they would still feel all the pain and agony, and they'd be screaming in pain and all that during the whole surgery, but the medication made them not remember any of it. So it didn't actually block any of the suffering, was the story. They still were like horribly tortured, but they didn't remember it later. Blessed forgetfulness. I don't think that was the case in my old timeline, though, because I think before it was ether, and that would just knock you out and nobody was writhing and screaming. Yeah, so it used to be that hat was lower, then it got higher, and now it's like super pinched also. Yeah, fedora. Let's see. Fedora, that sounds right. Let me just look at the fedora so I can decide. Fedora. I believe that was it, though, because I remember even them saying he wore a fedora. It still looks too high, though. Maybe a low fedora. Alright. What kind of hat does Indiana Jones wear? Wait, I want the AI to tell me. Let's ask DeepSeek. Asking it all this blood tests, ceramides, and stuff, and then I'm asking it what kind of hat. High crowned fedora made from rabbit felt. So there's a high crowned fedora now, huh? I'm trying to think, like, maybe fedora itself kind of changed a little. This is better, the regular fedora, but it's not quite what I remember. Of course, if it was low and pinched, that wouldn't be that weird. You can't hear me? Let's see. Testing. Yeah, now I'm okay. Maybe you just had a glitch on your end. Let's see. All right, let me just look at that. Is that on YouTube? She's suggesting a video, I think. Okay, so it would be this person. Doink. There, once I'm on there once, now it's in my history, so I can find it again. All right, so we've got cable bacteria. Check. All right. Wasps flying backwards. So in one way, I'm kind of thinking, well, I think they might have been able to kind of go and just kind of, but apparently they also just kind of go up, reverse, and go backwards, which sounds stupid to me because, like, wouldn't you just slam your butt into things if you just flew backwards? But the story now is that wasps can fly backwards, and that they do. So, like, when they're leaving their hive, apparently, they will fly backwards so that they can see what it looks like later when they're coming back to their hive. So they're like, okay, now I know how to recognize my hive. It's sort of like if we walked out of a new building that we haven't been in much, we might turn around and go take a good look at it, so when I come back here, I'll remember what building it is. Well, I guess they just don't just take a look back, they just walk backwards as they're leaving, except for they're flying. So, all right, this one's not saying not in any great distances or for large distances, but then these stories make it sound like they just like buzz backwards a lot. When sand wasps leave home in the morning, they capture snapshots of the landscape around their nests. Now they have my exact example. All right. I'm sure there was some that said, here we go. Dang it. Now, I swear this said that they flew backwards when they were leaving. Now they're saying they look backwards. Is it going to be another one of those kind of nights? During the orientation flight, flies backwards away from the nest in a very systematic zigzag pattern of arcs around the nest, slowly getting higher and further away. Wasps fly backwards to find their way home. Okay, well, anyway, I have not heard of that story, and it's probably not the biggest Mandela story in the world, but I still thought it was cool. Okay, did that one. Ergots. More ergots. Oh, I think I've had this one on before, but it's still getting me. So it's these ears on the frogs, which are getting a lot bigger. And now the story is that they have external eardrums. So, like, you know how your eardrum is down inside your ear, but this is the eardrum of the frog. So that's why it's like a big round thing, because it's their eardrum on the outside. So they all have it, but some are a little more obvious. That guy has a little one right there. Okay, so you can see it a lot now on these. That guy has tiny one. They didn't have that for me, especially not these here. They look ridiculous. Like, what's wrong with it? How would I not notice this giant effing eardrum thing? Maybe a few of these you wouldn't notice because it's colored the same, but I mean, it's not like I never saw other frogs. That one's crazy sized. So I've had these on before, but I don't think they were quite this big by that time. It was early on when I had noticed these, maybe a year ago. Something like that. So, you know, a fair portion of frogs now have this thing. Oh, there's a weird looking guy. Angry. This guy has, guys, hardly even circular. What do we got? Angry frogs now or something. This guy's got spikes. All right, even these you can see it on there. This one. Okay, so anyway, they're bigger. I think it's the main point I'm trying to say. All right, now, okay, I'm going to talk about some personal ones. I meant to talk about this last week, and then I skipped it. So there's this dog trainer named Dog Daddy. He's a little bit like the dog whisperer. He's got his a little bit unique techniques, but he also specializes in kind of like really difficult, mean dogs that other trainers gave up on, and I really like him, and I think he's even faster than Dog Whisperer. And the other thing interesting is that now that I've done some horse trading, I realize that he's yoinked a lot of techniques from horse trading and adapted them, and they work really well on these dogs. Because, you know, horses, you really can't make a horse do anything. You have to pester him into it. So he's basically got this, like, extreme pestering technique. It's like, and to the dogs is like, fine, whatever. But one thing that happened is that for some time, like months passed, and he just did not have that much new material. And I figured, hey, he's extremely busy and popular with his dog training. There's a lot of people with really difficult dogs. He's probably flying all over the country, and all he does go out of country even. And so he's probably just so effing busy that he's got better things to do than make videos. But then about 3 months ago, he came on and he did one of these heartfelt, like, I haven't been doing a lot of material, I'm sorry, and here's why things. And then he said that the problem was that he had given some, he had delegated a bunch of his stuff to, like, this third party group that was supposed to, like, help him with advertising and blah blah blah, and instead they barely did anything, and they've been maneuvering to take over his work, like the ownership, and they've been trying to, like, basically own the dog daddies different, like, website and that kind of thing, right? So he said he was battling them in court, and there was all these legal issues, and he was trying to get his stuff back, and luckily he hadn't given them the YouTube account, that he still had control of that, but that he'd had all these legal problems, and he was really disappointed. And this is kind of a youngish kid too, so you got to keep in mind that he has not seen the world, and he just said he felt really depressed about it, and he didn't want to make material because he just had all these other problems, and that's why he didn't make material. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. And people are on there going, hey, maybe try this lawyer guy and blah blah blah. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so then he did put out a couple more videos lately, and the last one I looked at, and then I kind of looked back at his old videos, and the title of the one that where he had done the heartfelt, it just looked different and everything. Like the thumbnail looked different, the title looked different, and I was like, that's weird. And so I don't know, out of a lark, I just clicked on it because I'm like, this doesn't even look like the one that I saw, but the one I saw is not there, and they're both around the same time. And in this one, it's very different. So he kind of starts out real similarly, like, oh, I haven't been around for quite some time, and you haven't heard from me, and this is why. And then he gives 100% different story. So the new story is that he's been trying to find the right place to move his ranch to, where he felt totally at home, and have like a dog ranch and an animal ranch, and that he had bought some property and lived there for a while and was going to set up, and then decided it wasn't the right place, and he basically goofed up on investing in places, that then living there and changing his mind, and that he had been really preoccupied with all that, and it was all his fault, and he's sorry, and blah blah. Nothing about any of this other stuff. So I guess it's possible that he uploaded the other one and then changed his mind and deleted it and uploaded this one. But here's the thing, this one is time marked from 3 months ago, and that other, I mean, like, I don't think he could have snuck it in there 3 months ago without me noticing. And the other one's gone, and nobody is commenting. Like, I looked on the comments of this one, and nobody's saying, what about that other thing? Which they would have, but they didn't. So is, like, nobody from my timeline, because nobody's commenting on that anyway. So I'm really suspicious that the whole dog daddy storyline changed, basically. I'm kind of glad that he's not, like, hopefully not being screwed over by his management team, though, in this reality. Because the problem he's having now is more self-inflicted, and so therefore he could get out of it with his own self. But so that's one probable Mandela in my life that happened last week. And then this week, I think I mentioned before that there's a church near me, like really, really old church, and some of the morphology around it changed, like the way the fencing was, the way the back alley is, that now there's not fence, like there's not the wrought iron all the way around. It stops on the side, and then the back has parking, which it never did. And there was this little teeny building there that I didn't remember being there. And so I actually spent a lot of time, going, I'm sure that building wasn't there. Then another part of me is like, well, maybe you didn't notice it. But I did notice a couple days ago that I was walking by there again. And now I'm sure that building wasn't there because it's like 3 times bigger. It was this tiny little place, and now it's huge. And it almost butts up against the regular church now. There's almost no pathway between. So I'm sure it's a Mandela now because that's kind of how they work. They come in and they're little and a little innocuous, and then it just like a seed. It just like grows. So, yeah. So that's an addition to that one. Okay, now, last week I meant to cover this, and somehow I signed off, and I didn't even talk about the thumbnail, which is just a crime. Okay, so the thumbnail of last week was the Cologne Cathedral. I should probably just, supposed to be the big hoity-toity cool cathedral in Germany. I wanted to go to Google. And it's like super cool, and it is super big, and it's super, wait a minute, like, what is this thing? Here, I don't remember this part. I remember all these little spires, and it looks all old, and then there's this. And I'm like, no, wait. That's not what's not there. So, is it new? No, because there's old video, there's real old images, and it had it on there. So, I call baloney on this roofy thing, which I think now looks like, it's supposed to look like a cross. It goes all the way through there. So, I remember these spires and stuff, but actually, I'm kind of suspicious about this whole back part. But that roof thing, no. I mean, you remember seeing it from there, but the minute I clicked on, I wrote in Cologne Cathedral, and you can see the roof comes up right away that it was. And so a lot of buildings are getting these wonky roofs, these super tall roofs, and the old style now is with these roofs. And that just was not in my timeline. So the top of castles used to be kind of flat, but now they have these super high roofs, like these super angled roofs. And it looks ridiculous. Come on, that does not look right on there. It is up there. I mean, granted, it probably once upon a time was made with more older school materials. It does blend in a little there, but there just was not a big flat surface like that. It was all crenulated all the way around. There was no that, whatever it is. This looks ridiculous. This is so wrong. There it is again. That just, no. All parts of it were ornate. There wasn't this thing. And I wanted to see, is it new? No, because I found like an 80-year-old image of the church that was like black and white. It was so old, and it still had that on there. It's just, that looks so wrong. So that's my complaint about the Cologne Cathedral. All right, 45 minutes. Okay, this is another Jackie one. Okay, no looking. Jackie, you know the answer already. Jane Austen. How do you spell the last name? Jane Austen. Anybody know how to spell the last name Austen? From memory now. This is one now, like, sometimes I see these, and I see a spelling, and like, my brain wants to say to me, that guy's an idiot. Everybody knows it's spelled like over this one, right? And this is one of those, like, there's no effing way that's the spelling, it's this. And then I look it up, and it's that spelling that there should be no effing way. So it's like a strong one for me. Like, you would think that after all these years of the Mandela, I wouldn't immediately go, well, that person's an idiot. They're misspelling it. Like, who would ask how do you spell it as this or this? And one of them is obviously stupid. It's obviously stupid that it would ever be that. But it is. It is that. And those are the strongest Mandelas for me. The ones where I'm like, that guy's stupid. He's not. They're not. Ah, weird. You guys are definitely not. They rebuilt the roof on the Notre Dame Cathedral. Yes, but this is the Cologne Cathedral, so it's not the Notre Dame Cathedral. The Notre Dame Cathedral is the one that had the fire on the wooden roof, but this one ain't that. Yeah, they got the updates. I don't know where they're from this timeline. Okay, for me, Jane Austen was for sure, Austen. Jane Austen. I can spell it. I didn't put the capital, so Jane Austen. But in this timeline, it's Austen, which looks ridiculous to me, actually. So if I type it in the way I think it should be, obviously, and it comes back going, no. Jane Austen was an English novelist, known primarily for her 6 novels, blah, blah, blah. All right, so yeah, that's a Mandela for me, though. Not that one. Not that one. All right, I'm making progress. I got all but one, actually. All right, this one's also Jackie's. Okay, so Magnetar star. So the story now apparently is that star quakes, which are like earthquakes, but they're on stars. All right, this is powerful flashes of light, but actually there's one where they make gold. I think that was it, right? Gold and platinum, yes. So they're saying that these stars have starquakes, which are like earthquakes, and then the starquakes somehow make gold and platinum. Heavy elements are made by these starquakes. Found another source of gold in the cosmos. Research based on signal uncovered in archival space mission data may point to magnetars, or highly magnetized neutron stars. These stars released heavier elements like iron. Neutron stars are the remnants of the cores from exploded stars. So, like, what gets me is I don't remember them having crusts. Like, I thought that they were still, like, gaseous. I mean, they're emitting bursts of light and all this crap. Magnetars, they're extremely bright type of neutron star. So, like, where's all that light coming from then if they have a crust? That's what I don't get. So they're saying that they have this crust that somehow makes the gold and platinum. This is like a bad kid's story where they didn't really quite, like, cobble it together logically or something. That's what I feel like this is. It's like, earthquakes occur because Earth's molten core causes motion. Stars, quakes are similar. Neutron stars have a crust and a superfluid core. The motion under the surface builds up stress, which can eventually cause a starquake. On magnetars, these starquakes produce very short bursts of X-rays. Just like on Earth, you have periods where a given star is particularly active, producing hundreds of thousands of flares in weeks. Similarly, every once in a while, a particularly powerful quake occurs. The Magnetar unleashes material during a giant flare, but they didn't have physical explanation for the ejection of the star's mass. It is likely that the flares heat and eject crust material at high speeds. So they're like what? A crusty ball that is consistently exploding its crust out? Like, how does it still have crust then? Like, I don't know. This story is weird to me. I don't remember them having crust. So even weirder than the whole Starquake makes gold and platinum stuff is this whole crust thing. Like, how can it make all these flashes of light and all this stuff, and it's also got exploding crust? And wouldn't the crust then, like, get ejected out into space and it wouldn't have any more crust? So that's my thing. Since when do they have crust? It's a star. It's not dead. If it was, like, dead, I could see it, but... Welcome to your new Austen world. I've been in Austen world. I didn't notice. Yeah. Scientists say is inevitably code for here is something ridiculous we made up that everyone will believe instantly. Ah, it's getting like that. I don't know. Austen looks ridiculous. I say Austen looks ridiculous. So it's Jane Austen. They don't know anything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's easy to just go, well, maybe it's all just made up BS. But maybe the whole world is made up BS, you know? I mean, like, you got this flounder that changes colors, magically came into existence. So it's not any weirder than some star barfing out gold. Yeah, Jackie is this is an old Mandela for me, that Uranus, the planet that is, has rings now. And you know, as a child, we would have endlessly joked about the Uranus planet having rings if it had rings at that time, and it did not. So as a couple years ago Mandela, though, I think, for me, and I remember a lot of people talking about it. And there had been others, because people are like, it seems like each of the planets is getting rings, like a little bit more and a little bit more, so. I think I got all of them now. So they're basically saying all the neutron stars have crust. I don't think so. It's a star. Profile. I just clicked away from that one, but it was going to be reduce spending or STFU. I'm like, yes, I agree with that. The new administration got off to kind of a good-looking start, but then, nope, it's like, yes, waste, abuse, and fraud. Let's get rid of it. But then they just talked about it a lot, and I have not seen any budget cuts, so... Where did I leave off last time? Pretty sure I did that one. Retractable roof. Dark oxygen from mineral deposits on the bottom of the earth. I'm pretty sure I did that one. Fancy horse. Okay, I did fever coat. Did that one. Been the wrong. Arctic wolf's keratinosis. Actually, oh yeah, I did that one. I did that one. I'm not sure what this one even was, so I'm gonna have to just click on it to see, like, oh, that thing. Yeah, okay. So, that now it's got the whole... But it's in front of the mountain now. Okay, so... It seems even a little more extreme than last time I looked at it. Are we gonna get... Are we gonna get, like, Mandelas? Or, Mandelas? Mandelas. Are we gonna get Mandelas? It looks like it's turning into some kind of geometric mandala thing, this... So it really wasn't mandalas in nature before, but it looks like it's like a cross between a mandala and a kaleidoscope. Darn, where did I leave off? So they're calling this a circumhorizontal arc, which would be part of that whole kaleidoscope look that we have looked at a lot of times. But yet this one is kind of different, and it's all rainbowy, and I don't know what's going on with this one, but it was extra weird, so... I put it up there. I think this was some kind of weird lightning. I think I wanted this just because this lightning just sits there, but I've had better examples of it since then. It just hangs out. What is this? It just hangs out now. Lightning. Same pattern over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Just hanging. Didn't used to do that. So, if you're old enough, you may remember, I think it was around the 80s maybe, where they were saying, the frogs are getting mutated, and it is the canary in the coal mine, as they say, that shows the environmental problems of such and such, these mutated frogs. But apparently now it's just a parasite. These frogs are just from a parasite. The parasite gets in the frog, and somehow, as it's developing, it makes it grow like extra legs and crap. Lots of them. So now it's not pollution, it's this parasite. The parasite, Ribeiroia ondatri, is a common parasite found in North America, released from snails, and has a stage that infects tadpoles. Once it contacts a tadpole, it lodges itself in the limb buds and is believed to start releasing a compound, retinoic acid. This compound, or possibly just the parasite's placement, causes the development of the frog to go wacky, resulting in large deformities. These deformities make it hard to escape predators like herons. The parasite sexually reproduces in the heron, so it's in the parasite's best interest for the frog to get eaten. This parasite is the main leading cause of deformities in frogs in many regions. Up to 90% of frogs can be deformed. So back in the day when they were saying that, like, all these deformed frogs were proof of our mass poisoning of the environment, apparently now it's just parasites. Can you imagine 90% of frogs are deformed in places? Like, have you heard of anything like that? Because you'd think that would be kind of on front page news or something. Now, did I have this one on? I don't think so. But I don't really remember whales coming this close to the dock. I don't care how deep your particular dock is. This is freaking ridiculous. Whales used to be out to sea. And now they're just like, we'll just come over here. Hold on. So there's all these bubbles and there's like fish jumping. Apparently they're running from this freaking whale. Of course, the whales are totally different now too. Green with, or black with pink apparently is very interesting rib structure. So apparently, you know, that's the thing. They can just come up by the dock now, and I call baloney. I've had this on too, but I don't think I've had video on it. But these parrots, they have this really weird tongue now that has, it's like a knob, but then it has a bunch of little feely thingy madoogles. And so it's like a little hand now. It's almost like a pom-pom hand or something. Show that in a second. Did you hear Jesus had a twin? I kind of watched that thing, and so they're basically saying that some of the terminology in the Bible makes it sound like maybe Jesus had a twin. I wouldn't be surprised if more data shows up and it became like more of a thing, but I'm not like convinced yet. But I almost just want to say I don't want to not be convinced anymore, because just stuff just changes and changes, so why even have that much of an opinion? Yeah, they could have faked him coming back from the dead. I don't know. I mean, you could decide this is true, and next week there'll be a whole nother story anyway, so that's why I don't get too attached to the stories. Alright, so here's this bird. They've given it, so it's got this weird tongue now. So here's the tongue. So basically this tongue, it can just kind of go onto this nut and pull it out. It's like a whole nother hand. Ooh, you know what? The other thing is it looks like it's hollow, and there's like a hollow spot in here. It's like a whole, it has like a whole tentacle hand sponge pom-pom thing in its mouth now. See, it can totally manipulate and grab these seeds. It's a whole hand. He has a hand in his mouth, basically. It's like ridiculous. This is insanity. I mean, I always thought these big beak birds, it must be hard for them to really control these nuts. Well, I guess the universe thought so too. So it gave him a hand, like a tentacle hand in his mouth. Jesus' twin has been common knowledge for a long time in my timeline. I think his twin's name was Thomas, who is called the twin in the Gospels. What the heck, man? Vivian, you're from this timeline more than me. This is crazy. I'm going to put this down. Jesus. You know, as I travel through these timelines, it's like, first it's like, did Jesus have a sister? Did he have a wife? Was Mary his wife? Did he have brothers? That was another one. Oh my God, he had brothers. Now it's he has a twin. I don't know. Like, maybe he's going to have an alien baby next. I remember learning there was a few sects that acknowledge Jesus' twin, but I can't remember which ones they are. Vivian, I'm blaming this one on you. It came from your timeline. All right, here is another one of those weird light phenomena that exists in this timeline. I think I've had these on before, but I just can't get over it. Chicago skyline is visible in the sun. In the Indiana dunes, sunset. So the problem, though, is that the actual Chicago skyline is too far away to be seen. It should be like behind the ocean. If the land is really curved, you shouldn't be able to see that. So then the story is that somehow the light all reflects, like, instead of being all scattered, the exact image is somehow reflected over this horizon, and then now you can see it. And there's a lot of these, so I don't, even if this one is faked, I don't think it is, but there's a lot like this. And of course the flat earthers say, no, it's just flat and that's why you can see it. I don't know. Don't know what to say. All right, this one. I had these lantern eye fish on before, but they didn't used to like blink. Now they like blink their eyes, like, so the lanterns, those aren't actually eyes. They're just like lines on the fish. So it just seems mighty coincidental to me that now their fake eyes blink like fake eyes. They blink on and off. So you can see it turns, and they turn on and off at the same time, like they're blinking. So you can see that guy's doing it. So, yeah, no. So there you can see him blinking. I mean, what are the odds, you know? Let me just check and make sure that's not their eye, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Lantern eye fish. So I know I had these on, but I don't think they blinked before. Okay, yeah. Bioluminescent organs located underneath their eyes contain luminous bacteria and can be shut off by the fish using either a dark lid or by being drawn into a pouch. Is that how they shut them off? But they're not their eyes. 2 species are notable, both from the East Indies. Also known as one-fin flashlight fish, has a large light organ and a unique white margin on the gill cover. Okay, so there's the eye, and there's the thing you're seeing. But for some reason, they blink these as if they were their eye, even though it's not their eye. Like, why? They're probably going to say it's to attract females, would be my guess. Because that's how all of this weird stuff gets written off as. Oh, there's not much info on them, though. We don't even get the lame excuse as to why they can flash their eyes. So that's an upgrade for me. I've had these on, but they weren't blinkers before. And I'm getting like super sleepy. All right. I've had this thing that these tomatoes now, the seeds will start to sprout while it's still in the tomato. I guess they're getting really easy to start now. You don't even have to wait. But before, at least you had to cut the tomato in half and it like expose the seeds to light or something. But apparently now they'll just burst out of the freaking tomato on their own. Look at you. The seeds of this tomato started sprouting inside the fruit. Can you imagine that? So it's... I'm so sleepy. It's upgraded itself since that was a couple years ago since I've seen that one. don't even know why I saved this one. Let's see. Oh, yeah, another weird pet squirrel with the pointy ears, the uppity. So this guy has this pet squirrel, and he's playing this game with it. I don't remember these squirrels, really. I probably saw them recently, but they weren't way back. They weren't there. These huge ears, they're cool. Huge, ridiculous ears. I might go like 15 minutes early because I'm getting like really sleepy. So sleepy. Is there any I really want to cover here? Let's see. Maybe this one. I definitely want to cover this one. Something about blue lately. Everything's like blue. A bunch of new stuff's blue. So we have, you've heard of the green flash, and I've covered that before. And it's basically the storyline that as the sun sets over the ocean, sometimes right as it's dipping under the horizon, you'll see a green flash of light. And that used to be like this rumor, but they never had it on video. But now they do have it on video, and it's, I think, less rare. But now there's also a thing called blue flash. And the weird thing is this clearly shows green flash. But I did find a few that showed blue flash. Ultra rare blue flash and green flash on southern Oregon coast. Oh, this one says there's purple flash too. When the sun is very low in the sky, so its light is passing through a lot more air, there's very little violet and blue left to our eyes. So what? So that makes it green? Blue and even purple flashes can occur, but you need incredibly clear skies and ideal viewing conditions. Let's check this out. Okay, so there's green flash. There's, I don't know, blue, purple? Looks like it's blue and purple flash. What produces the blue flash? Let's see. I'm pretty sure I found some images before. There we go. So there's blue flash. Couple of them. Blue flash illusion. I don't know what they mean. So the other thing that's confusing me is when the green flash, it used to be that when it was dipping under the horizon, you didn't get it like way up here like this. So this might be more realistic, but I didn't have any images of it like being way out and having like this. So, I don't know. Is that even legit? All right. This looks more like green to blue flash at sunset. Green flash. So, yeah, I guess we have blue flash and purple flash now, which is, I guess, what I wanted to cover. Even go back and check on my comments about twins. I don't know what comment you want me to check on. Oh, that they faked him coming back from the dead. I don't know. But I mean, like, that one didn't go on to, like, be Jesus again then. So, and everybody in there, in that area, should have known he had a twin. So I don't see how they would fake it that easy. I don't know. what I see is that all the popular stuff is just getting more. Like there's 2 Mona Lisas, and there's a whole raft of the Thinkers, and the Scream. There's like 5 of them now. So hey, why not 2 Jesuses? I mean, what the heck? It sounds ridiculous, but maybe we'll get 4 Jesuses if we live long enough. There's a whole raft of Jesuses. All right, I'm like super tired now, so I think I'm gonna conk out. So I just can't stay. I can't stay awake. It's like now I don't stay up till 5 a.m. all the time, so my brain is saying it's time for bed. So I've got most of the ones I wanted to cover, and I still have a few for next week, in case it's a slow Mandela week. I didn't look for them really. I just read Jackie's stuff, and that's it. So there's might be a lot more out there. I'm not sure. I've actually been so busy because work is luckily and thankfully is picking up. I think some of it is just that I put a lot of work into new listings and stuff, but I don't have an assistant, and now it's busy, and I just have not had time to do the usual just, mindless, funsy, cruising the internet stuff, which is how I used to find a lot of the Mandelas. So that's probably part of it. So I think I'm going to head out. Thank you all for coming. Very much appreciate it. Thanks for all the Mandelas. I apologize to Vivian for not properly crediting your Mandela. It's very bad form on my part. Thank you for your patience. And you know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.